Hi everyone, it's Adrian Leah, and doing another reading. Um, I kept this up. I will work on it a little bit more, but I like that it's up there. And I started another painting. I think I'm just going to make it its own mini deck to focus on the channeled messages that I'm painting. I also wanted to show the progress I made on my garment. It's the cropped meadow lark sweater, and I'm on the last increase. This is gonna change the lighting, I guess, on the webcam. This part is the back, so I'm in the middle of doing a round. And I'll add the next leaf motif, and then I'll separate for the sleeves and knit the body. It's not going to be too long, and I'm hoping I finish it before my birthday next month so I can start a birthday and fall cast on. And I just wanted to say, because I mentioned it in the last video, I didn't clarify it, it kind of was in passing, about fasting. I suppose it's like fasting and praying, and fasting and praying at times, so they can go hand in hand. And I suppose you could also think about other practices that can be indoctrinated into your own schedule or your practice. So maybe mm, like celibacy, it's just an example, but that could be something that is linked to another belief and practice. So maybe just to put it out there in case it there was like some confusion with that, but I'll get started on the reading. I feel like I'll do more maybe animal totem readings, or it might be in passing too. I might say something here and there, but I was getting more visions of like animals, and not just animals, but as if they stand like humans. They do say back in the day that there was the animals and humans becoming one, and then they were put into extinction, but there were it wasn't completely extinct. There's something about the background about reaching the top of the mountain, and I did talk about that in another reading. This is on the back of this card. There's that mountain. I didn't turn over the cards yet, but this one is spread your wings. Archangel Ariel, do not hold back right now. The timing is perfect and you're ready to soar. And that makes sense because I was thinking that sometimes my readings, they kind of, I don't know if I would call it intense, but call them intense, but I don't like to hold back on the readings. I try to say it in a way that it's going to be taken, but um, sometimes I feel like it goes a little rogue. But better out than in. I thought today was Monday. Well, right now it's Monday because it's past midnight, but I thought yesterday was Monday. And it doesn't usually happen with me. Usually with the angels, it's not the vision of me getting cloaked with the wings. But today I was. And I was curious because I was sensing something when I was like out there in the basement area when I was trying to get some things. I was trying to get the cord because um, I'm also running out of cords too. That's why I would like to finish this project. And I needed a longer one to attach because there is an adapter or something that you can combine the cords together when you need to put it on a larger cord. That's when I felt it, and that's when I got the vision too, that I was being cloaked. And then I got the feeling to do the next card, which is a specific card. It's actually going through the visions that I have had in the beginning when when I first started doing the Ukrainian readings. I'll read the other cards since I have them out. I wasn't going to, but and at the bottom of this deck, it's the Three of Wands. I was a little ahead with myself. I was about to say Queen of Wands because of the background color. So the other cards, breathe, Archangel, Raphael, take several deep breaths and exhale slowly to awaken your energy to release old patterns. Then career transition, Archangel Chamiel, your life purpose is triggering a blessed career change. Archangel Zadkiel, keep an open mind and learn new ideas, then teach these ideas to others. It's so weird with this deck specifically. It's like I've never spoken English in my life because they're just a couple of sentences, and yet I try to read them slowly. Maybe the readings require that I read them slowly. Otherwise, I might just like um, say it really quickly. And it does feel like with the career transition, it makes sense since the energy slightly changed I was when I started the next card. And these cards aren't exactly like the happiest cards. Some of them are happy, but again, they're visions and from the channeled messages. So, and reaching like the top of the mountain, and it kind of starts to accelerate from there. I was going to say something, but it'll probably come back. But something shifting. And with the Three of Wands, I feel like that is the reciprocation, maybe from the teaching and learning and the career transition, because that was actually in the future, and now it's in the present. The future was in another reading. It was in that position in another reading. Oh, as it came back, so it kind of feels like with getting to the top and going to the bottom, sometimes it's also, say you're taking a test and you're stuck on a question, but you can't stay on that question for X amount of time because you have to finish the test. So you might go back to it, um, or if it's towards the end and that's the last question, you will have to take an educated guess. So with going back to the question, at least for me, it kind of has to like do with that one too because it's a little mundane maybe for some people, but I don't like waiting on projects. I like to keep a pace with them because I get um, the good ideas and I start another project. So for me to like, it's almost complete. It's just the finishing things that I was going to do with it, and but I wanted to like see it through in that way. But it's okay to maybe keep it as it is because maybe it doesn't need to be changed. Maybe that's my answer too. And I can go on to the next card. I mean, it's an all. I feel like it's all coming as one, like different elements that become one. And there is something about learning more in order to complete it. This feels like a whole puzzle, and maybe you're working on the edges first. Maybe you're working on like a certain area of the puzzle. But since it's like the transition and the Three of Wands is now in the present, I feel like it could be like the last couple of puzzle pieces. And even a shift too, because I said it yesterday that my best friend, her phone was off for a while, and she had to get another phone, so that she waited for that. And I just talked to her today for like 2 hours. So that could also be the transition too. And you could take it as you feel that it goes with your situation. I hope that my examples aren't too distracting, but those are some ways that you could approach it. Because what is it, like wax on, wax off with those certain everyday movements, and it becomes a way of life, it becomes second nature, it becomes something that's of importance. Um, it was kind of like I was referring to that, where like the martial arts and finding the movement in everyday life of doing simple things, because that is part of the flow. And if you're thinking about flow, you could also think about Tai Chi too, where you're trying to get the flow of your blood, get the flow of the energy, and being able to make it as effortless, as is it as flowy as possible. There is a flow to everyday experience, and those everyday experiences can lead to something greater. That's what I was talking about with her with the readings too, because I have been doing these readings. It just has become a thing that I've been doing, and it kind of feels like the spirit world was like, oh, there's Adrian looking at my profile, or looking at my when you have those certain profiles for people in the police, and I guess in other government type of documents, except in the spirit world, she has this experience, she's done this, she's overcome this, she learned this, and she has maintained this type of integrity. This is a person qualified to do X, Y, and Z. And it doesn't need to be for the spirit world, but you could associate it with different things in life. It was interesting too, because I won't go too much into detail, but one of her friends did pass. And one of the main things was that her friend was really adamant about telling me to tell her that if you need help with something to call on me. And I said that twice. And I didn't have any ambition or like something. It wasn't one of those motivational or like things to add to the conversation. It's not like I don't want her to feel at ease with it, but it just came up twice. So, and I say twice because it was kind of like, hmm, maybe she's still transitioning, and it was like, again, with that message, and with when the time comes, it's not the first time that I've done that. I actually did that for a childhood best friend, and I didn't talk to her for years, and there was nothing really to it. We just went to different schools and everything. And her boyfriend at the time committed suicide. And of course, I didn't talk to her for years, and I didn't really want it to come out the wrong way. I didn't want to make anything like profitable or anything. It wasn't something like that. But there was like the push to like, please let her know, because technically, um, I mean, this is a small state. This is the Northeast, so you can go. It's like the smallest parts of the U.S. or the smallest states clustered in the U.S. because her boyfriend was cousins with. This was like years and years and years ago. So somebody that I went out with, that was his cousin that committed suicide, and so I already knew who the person was, and so I kept getting like, please tell her this, please tell her this, and I'm like, I guess okay. So I did, and it was clarifying because there were certain things that she was going to do to like honor him after his passing. So I was happy about it because I really, sorry, I didn't want her to take it the wrong way. And with this bed, it is an older bed. It's one that has been here since before I've been born, so it is kind of, it's very like one of those spring mattresses. It's interesting with the overall energy for the Glory to Ukraine tarot. It's the Page of Swords. I've said this in another reading. Um, there was the energy of like no take backsies, you know, because once you do something, it's kind of like out into the world. That's the overall energy for that one. So there could have been something that was done or said that may have given an impression that wasn't the impression that you were trying to give. And you could place it however you want to place it in through life. But with the Three of Wands being in the present, I feel like that like the ship has sailed for that. Like after dropping off the load at the dock, it has set out again. So it was kind of one of those everyday mundane things. With the Page of Swords being an archetype of the reading, I feel like there could have been a specific person that it may have affected, you or another person. And I'm happy that with the animal totem discussion that it has been thought about. So I am curious about the types of animal totems that really speak to uh, people. There's also a song that came up today. It's not surprising because I do tend to listen to alternative music more. It's Down with the Sickness. Um, Let me see. It is. I think it's Disturbed. It's interesting that this came up in the past. So it's the Ten of Swords. And this really does feel like the emphasis of cycles cycling out. And it's always around this time where I get like a sneeze or I get like something where I feel like, oh, who's thinking about me? Who's talking about me? So there could be maybe thoughts or discussions about people, and even like if you're with your group and you're talking about, sorry, a specific person. I don't know. But also with the Ten of Swords too, this Ten of Swords is said to have the face of a Tanka. I'm sorry for my pronunciation of it. And it's not surprising because today I was looking at one of my images, and sometimes, like, you can kind of, well, maybe it's not that common, but as if, like, the images, like, look at you. And when I was looking at one of the images that I painted of the being that was at the end of my bedside in my old apartment, I had the vision of, like, the elderly woman when we went to the church, and I was curious and I wanted to see the beings that were helping me to come into the church because I was curious. And that being specifically took a little bit to get into the church and eventually did, was at the corner. The image that I was getting, like the flashback, was that it was like the side eye that she was giving me. Like I was like making her, I wasn't trying to do it in that way, but I wanted to see that. And so that was what I sensed when I looked at that painting. And I do like using my own decks because it kind of feels like it speaks the Adrian language. Sometimes when you are learning a certain thing, it sometimes it is of a benefit to you, sometimes it doesn't click with you. But then when you watch something else or you're like learning it in another way, that it does seep into your brain. Another thing with these readings, it is a little bit of returning a favor too. So that was another thing because of feeling the kindness and unconditional love and then returning it. Not like returning it, that sounds mean. Like for it to be reciprocated and to give it too. And as I say that, this is a really, really nice combination. This is the Hierophant and the Three of Cups. Hierophant, Major Arcana. There are also Major Arcana in the other art that I pulled from other decks too. And it does feel like a group that has their own system or things that are indoctrinated into their daily lives. Almost close to maybe a holy order too, or there could be some type of religious aspect maybe in that area. Um, there can be some, maybe like in certain parts of the world, there are certain types of religion and practices that are more prevalent or more apparent in to them. There's also like the faithfulness too, as if they're the ones like on your side. I was talking about the combination. The Three of Cups was combined with the Three of Pentacles in another reading, and it feels like there's a higher order for it too, because now it's the Hierophant instead of the Three of Pentacles. Um, it seems telling because the last reading was an angel message. And I know I could talk and talk and talk because I don't really talk that much other than like the videos or when I'm on the phone. So I do have like a sorry, I brushed my hair today. I guess that answers the question. I don't brush my hair. I don't brush my hair every day. But I I feel like there's just like a tight knit energy. There's like some representation of the group. It could be like a certain interest or a certain um like when you have clubs and there's like that aspect of it where they're brought together based off of this common interest or action or like duty that they have to follow. So it's kind of in representation of that. There's something that falls into suit with having an order to it. Even almost like the Knights Templar or something. And the legend of the Holy Grail. And some say that it's a person, some say that it's an object, and the object was melted away. There's different stories associated with those things. It's, and I'm not sure if this is, maybe I'm not getting the animal because I was trying to figure out what animal this was. There's also a power here too because there's also the holy stones at the top, and I have, sorry, I have my holy stone too, and there's like the practice of like looking through and seeing through illusion, seeing through evil, seeing for what it really is. And it is also protection too. This one is from Ireland. And it's nice to have certain talismans or things that you find that bring you comfort or are sentimental in ways. So you have the five of air and the two of fire, the five of swords and the two of wands. I like air and fire together. They really amplify each other, and it can be done in a good way. But with the five of air is an unwise choice. Learn from what you can from the situation. Review everyone's motives. And you've come into your own new partnerships or contracts. Continue to move forward. With these two combinations, well, with these two combined together, it kind of feels like, so you're on this journey, right? And you're trying to find your team, like a useful team. And even this is something that I ask myself pretty frequently. Um, mm, it's kind of embarrassing, but it's like if you're in a post-apocalyptic world, and I, I feel like when you're in a war zone, it can feel like that too. Who will you have on your team to be a person that you could do X, Y, and Z, like certain duties to delegate to? What are they going to do? And me being excited because I'm just like, I'm useful because I know plants, I know um, therapeutic uses and medicinal properties of things. I feel like that would be good, and plant identification has been something that I enjoy. Um, like if you see something that could be poisonous, like poison ivy, how many leaves does it have? What does it look like on the stems? What color is it? Can help, or the location too. Even with the common names are like kind of nicknames that plants are given to kind of give way to what the plant might look like, what its origins are, and um, like maybe culture wise, what it could have been used for or what it is used for. like Achilleum millefolium. So you have the genus and the species. This has been like a thing that I'm not complaining about because I'm not looking at it. Well, I'm not. Hmm, well, because they come out with certain items on the market, just in general, and there are plants with the scientific names on them, like on dish towels, on maybe booklets or what have you. And I just look at it and I'm thinking, well, it's not written correctly, but who's to say this isn't a science test or anything? Because the genus and the species are there with the two parts of the name, and then um, the second part of the name is lowercase, so you're not making both parts of the name uppercase. But who's to say, it's just throwing it out there. But um, so with this two of wands and the five of swords, this could go swimmingly well or just really toxic or disastrous. Like you don't want to have like a team toxic. I mean, if that's what you're looking for, maybe, but um I guess the idea here is it depends on what your honor code is and where you're trying to go with your team. Maybe that's the team that you're trying to build, but fire and air, it they really can make each other dance in that way or spiral out of control. So same thing with relationships too. And with the Three of Cups, I'm feeling like it's kind of like a brother in arms or a sister in arms type of situation too. So it could be that type of interaction with the Hierophant and staying loyal to those things. So the obstacle is the Chariot card. It's not the worst card to have in this position, just because maybe the Chariot isn't fully maybe the wagon isn't fully loaded. Maybe there are certain things or certain people that you have to wait for before leaving. Like you're not leaving without your whole team. That's how it usually works. There's something about this chariot that it's kind of like in park. It's not moving, but it's not a bad thing either. And also, with seeing the angel today and the vision of the angel cloaking me, it kind of feels like maybe um, the original Rider-Waite-Smith interpretation imagery does depict an angel driving the chariot, so there is some type of divine guidance there. And maybe you don't need to experience something at that moment, or you wait till something transpires, and maybe you don't need to be there when that thing transpires because it's not necessarily of a benefit to you. And then once it clears, it's like, okay, coast is clear, now it's time to go. Or if we have all our men here or women here, now we could head off. And then you have the moon as the overall, I'm sorry, the overall energy is not the moon, it's the Page of Swords. And so, how to overcome the next step with the Page of Swords is the moon. So, there can be something about this, if it has to be the Hierophant, and the Hierophant could be a divine New World Order type of position. This Page of Swords might lack the focus. There's something that this Page of Swords is not experienced with, and it could also be leading a crowd in case they're preparing, life is preparing them for this type of leadership where they're already in there, and it's making a couple of twists and turns before actually going in the right direction. So, um, with this Page of Swords and the Moon card, I feel like it's energy of needing to grow up fast. Because the reality is this is the reality of it. And if we're thinking about warfare, where you do have to grow up fast and try to um, survive in those conditions. So there is that sense of awareness with that too. And it is an intensity and role for the Page of Swords. Um, there's a sense of being a completionist or actually gathering the resources and delegating, as I was talking about, the redistribution of wealth and resources. Because in the future, you have the Four of Pentacles. And wealth can mean different things to people. So, what is that? What is that you're offering? For some reason, I was getting like barter. Um, what can you provide? What is your active service in that way? It may be something more spiritual because of the person on the card. And Hierophant seems to be one of the more important. Well, there a lot of cards are important in this reading. So the Chariot card's Major Arcana, the Moon's Major Arcana, Hierophant, as I said, Major Arcana, and another archetype. You have the King of Pentacles with the Seven of Wands. And it does kind of feel like a New World Order type of situation. Or social class. There's something that it's like a designated role or assignment or thing that they do. And when you think about like your spirit team too, what are the different things? Because I tend to have beings in the spirit world that I might do maybe more videos on that. The spirit world is a big place, but it's good to know things and be aware and have some beings high and low. So it's almost like who knows light and who knows the darkness and everything in between. And that could be like those specialties. Because with the King of Pentacles, for some reason, I'm getting like multiple. It could link to the Three of Cups. It could also be talking about that post-apocalyptic type of conversation on who's on your team. And it is like that choose wisely type of situation. And then it's the Seven of Wands because it's like that fight. So fight, or it says rise above willpower, stamina, overcoming obstacles, defense, with the Seven of Wands. And it's like there's a hummingbird on this King of Pentacles. I would say it's not a common animal to have for the King of Pentacles, but it could make sense for it too. That nectar of life, and they do have legs that don't really stand well, and they're constantly flying too, and they're fast. This could be energy based off of what I just said, of maybe an older crowd, and maybe they don't move as fast as they used to, or they don't do the same things as they used to, but um, their actions and the way that their hands remember how to do certain things, not in that way, but in like a job type of way, that um, there is like an awareness there, or energies of, when I don't know if this is for a lot of people, but when I think about like getting a degree or like moving up, it's kind of like you sit down more because you're not saying you're not going to do the work. I mean, that's sometimes the case, but you tend to do more of the delegating than you do more of the harder labor. It's like you moved past that point. So the King of Pentacles multiple are the ones that, in a way, have moved past that point. I'll pull out maybe a couple more cards and then I'll end the reading. So the Page of Air, Page of Swords came out twice. This one, logical, honest, impulsive, curious, challenging information, delays, or changes to plans, truth delivered without tact. This also, it can also be solving the puzzle too. The swords here, the air suit tends to have a lot of unicorns, which is, it makes sense with knowledge and learning and the truth, information. You also have the wolf here too, so that could be like that wolf pack energy, and even a lion here. There can be, it can be bold, it can also be proud, um, and it doesn't need to be a bad thing, but to watch out for that too, because it's always good to either want to learn things or be aware that you can learn new things, and not thinking that everything that you've ever learned in your life is just what it is. But it does talk about that awareness. Two of Cups with the Knight of Earth, Knight of Pentacles, two of Water, Two of Cups. A relationship that continues to grow closer, forgiveness, the positive resolution of a conflict. And this could be the bottom of the ocean too, even though it doesn't look like too deep into the ocean, but um, that could be linked to emotional well-being as well, because some things that kind of set us off or remind us of not the best situations, or when this happened in life, or um, it feels like the time has passed, and it's not a bad thing. It's also a learning experience, as you see with the Page of Swords, the Page of Air. We also have the Knight of Earth, which I feel like is linked to the Two of Cups, the Two of Water, which is great for it because it's loyal, dedicated, honorable, kind. Time to buckle down and get things done. Honor your commitments. The Guardian Angel. So this could be a guide in real life, a guide in your spiritual practice, whatever practice you have, your religious practice. And it is the other side of the coin where, because I feel like it, since I said coin, it's like two of the same coin, like both sides of the coin. I don't know why I said it like that. Where there is that sense of commitment that comes from it. So maybe the Page of Swords or the Page of Air, it was like speaking out of line, and then the Knight of Earth, the Knight of Pentacles, is one that understands like the commitment of that interaction, or like that partnership. Because when things arise in certain situations, and particularly relationships, it doesn't mean it. Of course, it depends on the what happens and what has happened it on an individual basis. But in general, to not walk away when something can be worked through or talked through, if it's something that is worthwhile, it's there's a reason for that commitment. And with the Knight of Earth, the Knight of Pentacles, I feel like he or she believed in the cause. So you also have the Knight of Air, Knight of Swords. Since it was coming out, it kind of feels like reverse too. Intelligent, decisive, idealistic, tireless. Events that occur with great speed. Take time to carefully review your options. Creative solution. Since I was saying like it was reversed, it kind of feels like energy that went rogue. So, um, I know in another deck it has the animal of a shark on that card, and it really does have that type of bite sometimes with the Knight of Swords. Also linking to Gemini energy. It doesn't have to be a Gemini, and it may be like an air sign, the other air signs, Libra, Aquarius. Kind of feels like with this interaction of the Knight of Swords and the Knight of Pentacles, there's different personalities, there's different elements that interact with each other. I will say that Pentacles or Earth and Air are really opposite of each other. It's kind of, you had to work to maneuver those elements together. It isn't like air and fire where like those two are like kind of besties and you just can go on certain missions or like antics and um with air and earth it might take some time to adjust or understand. There's the energy of there's like misunderstanding type of energy that come with those two interacting in this reading. Knight of Pentacles, maybe Virgo or Earth energy too. You don't have to be those signs, but you could be in those elements because you're always moving around in life. So, last card is the Emperor, and it does feel like getting things in order. There is a leadership type of energy that is taking charge of it. Since I was saying that the King of is it Pentacles? King of Pentacles that shows up in this reading. I feel like there's multiple King of Pentacles in this reading, and it doesn't have to link to gender if you don't want it to. So it could be multiple people doing their due diligence and moving the team forward. Um, since it might be a little crucial, you don't want to, well, weigh the team there. But with the Chariot card, sometimes it's good to take your time to do things correctly to make sure that you're not rushing. Knight of Swords could be that type of energy, and if you rush it and it's done incorrectly, there's more time wasted because then you'll have to do it again. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful. I'll see you in another video.